The room is quiet, but your mind is not. You are lying in bed, the lights are off. Your body is tired, but your thoughts keep moving. A conversation from earlier begins playing again. You remember one sentence you said. Then you remember the other person's face. Soon, you are wondering whether you sounded rude, weak, foolish, or strange. After that, your mind jumps to tomorrow. What if you make a mistake at work? What if someone is upset with you? What if the plan fails? What if you forget something important? Your body is in bed, but your mind is still trying to solve a day that has already ended and a future that has not begun. This is what overthinking at night can feel like. During the day, you have noise, movement, messages, work, people, and tasks. At night, those distractions become smaller. The thoughts that waited quietly in the background move closer. One small worry can become 10 different worries. A memory can become a full story. A question can become a problem that feels urgent, even when there is nothing useful you can do at 2 in the morning. You may ask yourself, why does my brain do this? There is a simple reason. Your mind is trying to protect you. It reviews the past to avoid future mistakes. It imagines possible problems because it wants you to feel prepared. It searches for answers because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. But the same system that tries to protect you can also keep you awake. Thinking is useful when it leads to a clear decision. Overthinking is different. It repeats without solving. It returns to the same moment and asks the same question in a new way. It creates more tension but gives very little direction. This audiobook will help you understand that loop. We will look at why thoughts feel louder at night, why conversations replay, and why unfinished problems stay active in your mind. You will also learn practical ways to calm the loop without fighting every thought. This is not about forcing your mind to become empty. That is not realistic. It is about changing your relationship with the thoughts. You can notice a thought without following it. You can feel uncertain without solving everything before sleep. You can make space for tomorrow without carrying tomorrow through the whole night. A quieter mind is not built through one perfect evening. It is built through small habits that teach your brain when it is time to think and when it is time to rest. You can begin tonight. Chapter 1: Why Thoughts Feel Louder at Night. Night changes the way thoughts feel. During the day, your attention is divided. You may be working, studying, traveling, answering messages, speaking with people, or moving from one task to another. Even when a worry is present, other things compete with it. At night, that competition becomes weaker. The room becomes quiet. Your phone may stop ringing. People around you may be asleep. The mind now has more space. This is why a thought that felt small at 5 in the evening can feel much bigger at midnight. The thought did not always become more important. It simply became the loudest thing in the room. Imagine this real-life situation. You finish a normal day at work. In one meeting, your manager asks you a question. You answer, but later you feel that the answer was not very strong. During the evening, you cook, watch something, and speak with family. The moment stays in the background. At 12:30 a.m., you lie down. Now there is no meeting, no television, and no conversation. Your mind brings the answer back. You think, maybe I sounded unprepared. Then the story grows. Maybe my manager thinks I am not good enough. Maybe this will affect my future. Within 10 minutes, one average answer has become a threat to your whole career. This is a common pattern. At night, the mind has fewer facts coming from the outside. So it starts working with memory, imagination, and emotion. Tiredness also matters. When you are tired, it can be harder to see thoughts clearly. A small concern may feel more serious because your mental energy is low. You may notice that a problem feels impossible at 1 in the morning, but more manageable after breakfast. The problem did not completely change. Your state changed. This is why nighttime thoughts should not always be trusted as final truth. They may contain useful information, but they are often shaped by fatigue. The brain also likes unfinished business. If something feels incomplete, uncertain, or emotionally important, the mind may keep returning to it. Maybe you did not reply to a message. Maybe you have not made a decision. Maybe someone's tone felt strange. The mind wants closure. When closure is not available, it creates possibilities. Some possibilities are reasonable. Others become extreme. You may imagine rejection, failure, conflict, or embarrassment without strong evidence. The silence of night gives these stories room to grow. Another reason thoughts feel louder is that the body is finally still. During the day, movement can reduce your awareness of tension. At night, you may notice your heart beating faster, your chest feeling tight, or your stomach feeling uncomfortable. Then the mind asks, "Why do I feel this way?" It searches for a reason. Sometimes it finds a real problem. Sometimes it attaches the feeling to the nearest worry. This can create a loop. You feel tension. You search for a reason. You find a frightening thought. The thought creates more tension. Now the thought feels true because your body is reacting strongly. Understanding this loop can reduce some of its power. A strong feeling is real. It does not always prove that the story in your mind is accurate. Here is another real-life example. A student has an exam next week. During the day, the student studies and understands most of the material. At night, one difficult topic comes to mind. The thought begins as, "I need to review that chapter." A few minutes later it becomes, "I am not ready." Then it becomes, "I will fail." Then my future will be damaged. The original problem was simple. One chapter needed more study. The nighttime loop turned it into a complete disaster. A calmer response would be, "I am tired. This feels bigger right now. I will write down the chapter and review it tomorrow at 10. That response does not ignore the problem. It gives the problem a place and a time. This is one of the most useful ideas for nighttime overthinking. Your mind often needs evidence that the issue will not be forgotten. If you write it down, choose a time, or create a small next step, the brain may stop repeating it as strongly. The thought says, "Do not forget." You answer, "I have recorded it. I will return tomorrow." Night also creates emotional honesty. Thoughts you avoided during the day may appear when you stop moving. Maybe you are unhappy in a relationship. Maybe work is draining you. Maybe you are worried about money. Maybe you are disappointed with yourself. The goal is not to push every difficult thought away. Some thoughts are asking for attention. The problem is timing. A tired mind in a dark room is not always the best place to solve a major life issue. You can respect the message without holding a full meeting with it at 2 in the morning. You might say, "Well, this matters. I will think about it tomorrow. I do not need to finish the answer tonight." This is not avoidance. It is choosing a better time for useful thinking. The mind becomes quieter when it trusts that there will be another chance to deal with the problem. You can support this by creating a short evening review before bed. Take 10 minutes. Write down what is unfinished. Choose one next action for tomorrow. Notice any emotional issue that needs attention. Then close the notebook. This gives the mind a clear message. The day has been reviewed. The next steps are recorded. Rest can begin. It may not work perfectly on the first night. That is okay. Your brain learns through repetition. If thoughts feel louder at night, you are not broken. Your environment is quieter, your body is tired, and unfinished concerns have more space. The answer is not to fight the mind. The answer is to give it structure, timing, and a safer way to let go. Chapter 2. Why your brain replays conversations. Conversations often replay because they involve other people's opinions. The mind wants to know how you were seen. Did you sound confident? Did you say too much? Did the other person misunderstand you? Should you have answered differently? These questions become stronger when the conversation ended without clear feedback. If someone smiled and said, "Everything is fine," the mind may relax. If the person became quiet, changed tone, or left quickly, the mind may keep searching for meaning. It does not like missing information, so it fills the gap. The problem is that the mind often fills gaps with fear. Consider a simple real-life example. You send a message to a friend. The message says, "I cannot come tonight. I am tired and need some rest." Your friend reads it but does not reply. At first, you continue with your evening. Later, when you are in bed, you check the message again. You notice it was seen 2 hours ago. Your mind begins working. Maybe they are angry. Maybe I sounded selfish. Maybe I should send another message. Maybe they will stop inviting me. Nothing new has happened. The lack of reply has become a blank space, and your mind is trying to complete it. You may feel pressure to send a long explanation, but the silence may have many simple reasons. Your friend may be busy. They may have forgotten to reply. They may not know what to say. They may be tired too. Overthinking chooses one possible explanation and treats it like a fact. This is why separating facts from stories can help. The fact is, my friend read the message and has not replied. The story is, they are angry and may reject me. The story could be true, but you do not know yet. When you name the difference, the mind becomes less certain about the worst answer. Conversations also replay because you want to correct the past. Maybe you think of a better answer after the moment has ended. You imagine saying it clearly. You create a new version of the conversation where you appear calmer, smarter, or stronger. This can give short relief, but it can also keep the event active. The mind acts as if enough replay will allow you to return and fix the moment. It cannot. You can only use the memory to learn something for the future. Imagine that you are speaking in a group. Someone asks for your opinion and you become nervous. Your answer comes out quickly. Later, you think of 3 better points. At night, you replay the moment and feel embarrassed. A useful response would be, "I was nervous and answered quickly. Next time I can pause before speaking." That is learning. An unhelpful loop would be, "Why am I always like this? Everyone must think I am foolish." That is self-attack. The event is the same. The meaning is different. The brain also replays conversations that touched an old fear. A small comment may feel large because it connects to an earlier experience. For example, a coworker says, "You are quiet today." The sentence is neutral, but if you were often criticized for being quiet when you were younger, the comment may stay in your mind. You may hear it as, "Something is wrong with you." The present moment has activated an older story. This is why some conversations feel difficult to release even when the words were simple. The reaction may be connected to more than today. You do not need to solve your whole history at night. You can gently ask, "What did this comment make me fear? Does that fear belong only to today?" This can help you understand why the mind is holding on. Another reason conversations replay is the wish to control how others see you. Most people care about reputation and connection. That is normal, but complete control is impossible. You can speak honestly and still be misunderstood. You can be kind and still disappoint someone. You can explain yourself clearly and still meet a person who sees the situation differently. The mind may replay the conversation because it believes there must be one perfect sentence that would have controlled the outcome. Often there is not. A healthier goal is not perfect control. It is responsible communication. Ask yourself, was I honest? Was I respectful? Is there something useful to correct? Do I need one calm follow-up? If the answer is no, the next step may be letting the conversation remain imperfect. Real conversations are not edited films. People pause, choose the wrong word, become nervous, and misunderstand each other. One awkward sentence does not define you. Here is another real-life example. You speak with a family member about a personal decision. They do not agree. The conversation ends with tension. At night, you replay every sentence and imagine 10 better ways you could have explained yourself. But the disagreement may not exist because your explanation was weak. The other person may simply want something different from you. More explanation may not create approval. This is an important lesson. Sometimes the mind calls something a communication problem, when it is actually a difference in values, needs, or expectations. You can communicate better. You cannot guarantee agreement. What should you do when a conversation keeps replaying? First, write the main concern in one sentence. For example, I worry that my friend is angry because I said no. Then ask whether any useful action is needed. Maybe you want to wait until tomorrow. Maybe you need to apologize for something specific. Maybe no action is needed. After that, give the replay a limit. You can say, I have reviewed this once. Repeating it will not give me new information. The thought may return. Do not become angry. Notice it and repeat the same answer. This is the conversation loop. I will not solve it again tonight. The goal is not to force the memory away. The goal is to stop treating every return as a new emergency. You can also use a physical reset. Relax your jaw. Lower your shoulders. Take a slow breath. Feel the bed under your body. Name 5 things you can sense in the room. This brings attention back from the replay to the present. The conversation is over. You are here now. If a real repair is needed, tomorrow will still be available. Chapter 3. Uncertainty and unfinished mental loops. The mind likes answers. It wants to know what will happen, what someone means, and whether a decision is correct. When an answer is missing, thinking can continue for a long time. This is one reason uncertainty creates overthinking. The mind believes that more thought will create certainty. Sometimes it does. Often, it only creates more possibilities. Imagine you apply for a job. The interview seems to go well, but the company says they will contact you next week. That night, your mind reviews the interview. You remember the questions. You study the interviewer's face. You wonder whether they liked your answer. Then you imagine getting the job. A few minutes later, you imagine being rejected. Nothing can be decided tonight. The answer belongs to another person and another day. Still, the brain keeps searching. This is an unfinished mental loop. An unfinished loop is anything that feels open. A decision not made. A message not answered. A task not completed. A problem with no clear next step. The mind keeps returning because it is trying to protect you from forgetting or being surprised. The intention is useful. The timing can become harmful. A to-do list can reduce this pressure. When tasks stay only in your head, the brain may repeat them. Pay the bill, call the doctor, finish the report, buy the ticket. The mind repeats them because it does not trust that they are safely stored. Writing them down gives the brain another system. It no longer needs to be the only place holding the information. This is especially helpful before bed. Keep a notebook near you. Write the task and the next action. Do not write only, money problem. That is too wide. Write, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Check the account and list the 3 bills. A clear action gives the mind more closure than a general worry. Uncertainty becomes harder when you believe you must choose perfectly. You may spend hours comparing options. Should you accept the offer? Should you leave the relationship? Should you speak or stay quiet? Should you buy now or wait? You want a choice with no risk. Most important choices do not offer that. Every path includes uncertainty. Overthinking often continues because you are trying to remove a part of life that cannot be removed. You can gather information. You can consider consequences. You can ask for advice. After a point, you still have to choose without a guarantee. Here is a real-life example. A person wants to move to another city for a better opportunity. One side of the decision offers growth. The other side offers familiarity and family connection. At night, the person creates the same 2 lists again and again. They imagine success in the new city. Then they imagine loneliness. They imagine staying and feeling safe. Then they imagine regretting the lost opportunity. The mind is not failing. The decision contains 2 real values. No amount of thinking can make one option completely free from loss. The person may need to choose based on priorities, not certainty. This is a useful question. Which risk am I more willing to accept? That question is often more honest than, which choice is perfectly safe? Another kind of unfinished loop comes from emotional situations. Maybe someone ended a relationship without a clear explanation. Maybe a friend became distant. Maybe you made a mistake and never received forgiveness. You may believe closure must come from the other person. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it never arrives. If your peace depends completely on another person's explanation, the loop may stay open for years. You may need to create your own form of closure. This does not mean inventing facts. It means accepting what you do know. You know the relationship changed. You know the person is not communicating clearly. You know the situation is hurting you. That may be enough information for your next decision. Closure is not always a perfect answer. Sometimes it is the decision to stop asking the same unanswered question. The mind can also create loops around future events. A medical test, an exam result, a difficult conversation, a financial decision. The future feels open, so the mind tries to rehearse every outcome. Preparation is useful. Endless rehearsal is not. You can ask, what is one thing I can prepare? What is outside my control? This divides the problem into two parts. The first part receives action. The second part needs acceptance. For example, before an interview you can prepare answers, choose clothes, and arrive on time. You cannot control the interviewer's mood, the other candidates, or the final decision. When you clearly name the limit, you stop asking your mind to control what it cannot control. Unfinished loops also become stronger when there is no stopping point for thinking. You tell yourself, I will think until I feel sure. But certainty may never arrive. Create a time limit instead. I will think about this for 20 minutes tomorrow. During that time, write options, facts, and the next step. When the time ends, choose whether more information is needed. This is called scheduled thinking. It teaches the mind that the concern has a place. You are not ignoring it. You are moving it out of the night. A useful evening phrase is, this problem is real, but this is not the right time to solve it. That sentence respects the concern and protects sleep. You can also complete small loops before bed. Reply to one necessary message. And prepare clothes. Set the alarm. Write tomorrow's first task. Small acts of completion reduce mental noise. Do not try to complete your whole life every evening. Choose 2 or 3 things. Then allow the day to end. Uncertainty is part of being alive. A calm mind is not a mind that knows everything. It is a mind that has learned how to rest before every answer arrives. Chapter 4, Regret, Embarrassment, and Imagined Problems. Nighttime overthinking often uses 3 kinds of material. Regret from the past, embarrassment from social moments, fear about the future. These thoughts feel different, but they often follow the same pattern. The mind chooses one event, adds meaning, and repeats it until the feeling becomes stronger. Regret usually begins with the words, I should have spoken, I should have stayed quiet, I should have worked harder, I should have noticed the warning, I should have chosen differently. Some regret is useful. It can show you what matters. It can help you make a better decision next time. But regret stops being useful when it becomes punishment. You keep returning to a choice that cannot be changed, not to learn from it, but to attack yourself. Consider this real-life example. You had an argument with someone you care about. You became frustrated and said something sharp. Later, you realized the words were unfair. At night, you replay the argument. A useful response is, I spoke badly. I need to apologize tomorrow and explain what I meant without blaming them. That response creates responsibility. An overthinking response sounds different. I always destroy relationships. I am a terrible person. They will never trust me again. The first response focuses on behavior. The second turns one mistake into an identity. This difference matters. You can repair behavior. It is much harder to move when you have decided that your whole identity is broken. When regret appears, ask 3 questions. What exactly happened? What can I learn? Is there a real action I can take? If there is an action, write it down. If there is no action, the work may be acceptance. Acceptance does not mean liking the past. It means admitting that the moment is no longer available for editing. Embarrassment works in a similar way. You may remember something small from years ago. A wrong answer in class. A joke that nobody understood. A moment when you tripped, forgot a name, or spoke too loudly. The memory arrives at night with surprising detail. You feel the same heat in your face. You wonder whether people still remember. Most of the time, they do not. Other people are usually more focused on their own lives than on your old mistake. But the mind treats social embarrassment as important because belonging matters. It wants to prevent you from repeating the event. The problem is that the lesson may have been learned long ago. The replay continues even though it is no longer helping. Here is a real-life example. A woman gives a short presentation. During the talk, she loses her place and pauses for 5 seconds. The presentation continues, and most people forget the pause. That night, she remembers only those 5 seconds. Her mind removes the successful parts and keeps the uncomfortable moment. She imagines the audience thinking she was unprepared. The next day, a coworker says, "Your explanation was clear." This surprises her because her memory created a different story. Overthinking often zooms in on one flaw and removes the full picture. A helpful question is, what else was true? Maybe you paused, but you continued. Maybe one sentence was awkward, but the message was clear. Maybe someone looked bored, but others were listening. A complete view is usually kinder and more accurate than the narrow view created by embarrassment. Imagined problems look toward the future. The mind asks, what if? What if I cannot sleep? What if tomorrow goes badly? What if I get sick? What if I lose this opportunity? What if the person leaves? What if I cannot handle the result? Future thinking can prepare you, but when every possibility is treated as likely, the mind creates danger that is not present yet. This produces real stress in the body. You may be safe in bed, while your nervous system reacts to an event that exists only in imagination. A real-life example can make this clear. A man has to speak with his manager the next morning. He does not know what the meeting is about. At night, he imagines being criticized. Then he imagines losing his job. Then he imagines not paying rent. Within minutes, an unknown meeting has become a complete financial disaster. The facts are simple. There is a meeting tomorrow. The rest is prediction. The prediction may be possible, but it is not the only possibility. The meeting could be about a project, feedback, scheduling, or something routine. A balanced mind does not say, "Nothing bad can happen." It says, "I do not have enough information to know." That sentence creates space. You can also use probability. Ask, what is possible? What is most likely? What would I do if the difficult outcome happened? The first question allows honesty. The second reduces extreme thinking. The third creates practical confidence. For the meeting, the answer may be, it is possible that the feedback is difficult. The most likely result is a normal work discussion. If there is a problem, I will listen, ask clear questions, and decide my next step. Now the mind has a plan without pretending to control the future. Another problem is emotional reasoning. You feel afraid, so the situation feels dangerous. You feel guilty, so you assume you did something wrong. You feel embarrassed, so you assume everyone judged you. Feelings are important, but they are not perfect evidence. You can respect the feeling and still question the conclusion. Try saying, "I feel worried." That does not mean the worst result is happening. "I feel embarrassed." That does not mean everyone is thinking about me. "I feel guilty." I need to check the facts before taking blame. This creates distance between emotion and truth. Compassion is also important. If you speak to yourself harshly at night, the mind becomes more active. You may believe criticism will force you to improve. Often it creates more fear. Imagine speaking to a friend who made the same mistake. You would probably not say, "Your whole life is ruined." You might say, that was uncomfortable. Let us see what you can learn. Use the same fairness with yourself. You do not need to excuse every mistake. You need to respond in a way that allows repair. The past can teach you. Embarrassment can become smaller. The future can be prepared for. None of these things require a full night of punishment. Chapter 5. How Overthinking Affects Sleep and Confidence. Overthinking and sleep can create a difficult cycle. You worry so you stay awake. Because you stay awake, you feel tired the next day. Tiredness makes emotions harder to manage. Then the next night, the mind has even more material to worry about. This cycle can make one difficult week feel much bigger. Imagine a real-life situation. A student lies awake until 2 in the morning thinking about an exam. The next day, the student feels slow and cannot focus well. Study takes longer. Now the student thinks, I am falling behind. That evening, the new worry joins the old worry. The original problem was exam stress. The lack of sleep added concentration problems and self-doubt. This is why protecting sleep is not a reward after solving every problem. Sleep is part of the solution. The mind may say, I cannot rest until I find the answer. In reality, rest may help you find a better answer tomorrow. Overthinking also affects confidence. When you review every conversation as if it was a test, normal social moments begin to feel dangerous. You may become more careful. You speak less. You edit every message. You avoid taking chances because you know your mind may punish you later. This can create the false belief that you are not confident. The deeper problem may be that you do not allow yourself to be imperfect. Confidence needs room for mistakes. It grows when you act, learn, and recover. If every small mistake becomes a long mental trial, action becomes exhausting. Here is another real-life example. A young employee makes one small error in a report. The manager points it out calmly. The employee fixes it in 5 minutes. But that night, the employee thinks about the error for 2 hours. The next morning, they check every sentence many times before sending work. Tasks become slower. They begin believing they are bad at the job. The original error was small. The overthinking created a larger confidence problem. A healthier response would be, I made an error, corrected it, and learned what to check next time. That sentence gives the event a beginning, a lesson, and an ending. Overthinking often removes the ending. It keeps the case open. Sleep also becomes harder when the bed turns into a thinking place. If you regularly lie in bed with your phone, work, messages, and worries, the mind may begin connecting bed with mental activity instead of rest. You see the pillow, and the brain prepares to review the day. This habit can be changed. Try to keep major problem solving outside the bed. Use a chair, desk, or notebook earlier in the evening. If you are awake for a long time and becoming more frustrated, getting up briefly for a quiet activity may help. Keep the light low. Avoid turning the moment into a full work session. The purpose is to stop fighting with sleep. Frustration creates pressure. Pressure makes sleep harder. You may think, I have to sleep now. I only have 5 hours left. Tomorrow will be terrible. Watching the clock can increase this fear. If possible, turn the clock away. Your goal is not to force sleep. Your goal is to create conditions where rest is more likely. Overthinking also affects the body. You may tighten your jaw. Your shoulders may rise. Your breathing may become shallow. You may not notice because your attention is inside the story. A body check can interrupt this. Start at your forehead. Notice whether it is tense. Move to your jaw, shoulders, hands, stomach, and legs. Do not demand complete relaxation. Simply reduce the tension a little. The body sends information back to the mind. When the body becomes softer, the mind may read the situation as less urgent. Nighttime overthinking can also reduce confidence by changing how you remember yourself. If you review mainly mistakes, you create a negative record. You forget the tasks you completed, the conversations that went well, and the moments you handled difficulty. Your memory becomes unbalanced. A short evidence list can help. At the end of the day, write 3 things. 1 thing I handled well. 1 thing I learned. 1 thing that can wait until tomorrow. For example, I completed the report. I learned that I need more time before answering difficult questions. The message can wait until morning. This is not fake positivity. It gives the mind a more complete record. Another real-life example is a parent who wakes during the night. The parent remembers a moment when they became impatient with their child. Guilt appears. The mind says, I am a bad parent. A balanced response may be, I was tired and spoke too sharply. I can apologize in the morning and handle the next moment better. The parent is still responsible, but responsibility does not require losing the rest of the night. Sleep supports patience the next day. Overthinking may tell you that staying awake proves you care. It does not. You can care deeply and still rest. You can take responsibility and still allow the day to end. You can prepare for tomorrow without living through tomorrow twice. Protecting sleep is a form of self-respect. It says, my problems matter, and so does the mind that must face them. Chapter 6, How to Interrupt the Loop Tonight. Understanding overthinking helps, but nighttime needs practical steps. When the loop begins, you do not need a perfect method. You need one simple way to interrupt the pattern. The first step is to name what is happening. Say quietly, this is overthinking. This is a replay. This is a future story. Naming the pattern creates distance. You move from being inside the thought to observing it. The thought may still feel strong, but it is no longer the whole room. Here is a real-life example. You are lying in bed and replaying a message you sent. Your mind says, I should check it again. Instead of opening the phone, you say, this is the message loop. I already checked it. There is no new information tonight. The urge may return after 1 minute. Repeat the same answer. Do not create a new argument with the thought. A second step is writing the concern down. Use 1 or 2 sentences. Do not write a long story. Write, I am worried that my manager was unhappy with my answer. Then write the next action. I will review the work tomorrow at 9 and ask for feedback if needed. Now the concern has a place. The brain does not need to keep holding it in the air. A third step is the fact and story method. Divide the thought into 2 parts. Fact, my friend has not replied. Story, they are angry and do not want me in their life. Fact, I made 1 mistake. Story, I always fail. Fact, I have a meeting tomorrow. Story, I am going to lose everything. This method does not promise that every story is false. It reminds you that prediction is not proof. A fourth step is to move attention into the body. Try a slow breathing pattern. Breathe in gently. Let the breath out a little longer. Do not count perfectly if counting creates pressure. Simply make the exhale calm and unforced. Then notice the weight of your body on the bed. Feel your head on the pillow. Notice the temperature of the room. Listen for the quietest sound you can hear. The purpose is not to make thoughts disappear. It is to give attention another place to rest. A fifth step is to stop checking the clock. Imagine this real-life moment. You wake at 3:10 a.m. You think, I only have 4 hours left. 10 minutes later, you check again. Now you think, I have already lost more sleep. The clock becomes part of the problem. Turn it away if possible. Your body does not need a repeated report of how much time remains. A sixth step is to use a neutral mental activity. Some people become more awake when they try too hard to think about nothing. A neutral task can help. Imagine walking slowly through a familiar place. List simple objects that begin with 1 letter. Think of animals, cities, or foods in a calm order. Repeat a short, peaceful phrase. Choose something that is not exciting and not connected to your problem. This gives the mind a gentle track without feeding worry. Another useful method is a temporary permission statement. Say, I am allowed to leave this unfinished tonight. This can feel difficult if you are responsible and careful. But rest is not neglect. The issue will still exist tomorrow. You are choosing to meet it with a clearer mind. If the thought is important, schedule it. Right. Think about the relationship issue tomorrow from 6:00 to 6:20. This sounds simple, but it can be powerful. You are telling the brain that the issue has not been ignored. It has been moved. Here is another real-life example. A business owner remembers a payment problem at midnight. The owner wants to open the laptop and review every account. Instead, they write, "Check invoice 24 and call the client after 10 a.m." The problem now has a specific action. Opening the laptop may create 1 hour of work, bright light, and more stress. Writing the action protects both the business and sleep. You can also use the question, "Can I solve this now?" If the answer is yes, and the action takes less than 2 minutes, perhaps you can write a reminder or place an item near the door. If the answer is no, continued thinking is not preparation. It is repetition. Another step is reducing the fuel around the loop. Bright screens, stressful videos, arguments, work messages, and social media can keep the mind active. Try creating a short, quiet period before bed. It does not need to be 1 hour. Even 15 or 20 minutes can help. Lower the light. Stop reading difficult messages. Prepare what you need for morning. Let the brain see that the active part of the day is ending. If you are lying awake and becoming frustrated, do not turn the bed into a place of battle. You may get up briefly and sit somewhere quiet. Read something calm. Listen to soft audio. Keep the light low. Return to bed when you feel sleepier. The exact approach can be different for each person. The goal is to reduce pressure. You may also need to accept that one difficult night does not mean every night will be difficult. Overthinkers often overthink the overthinking. They say, "What if this happens again tomorrow? What if I never sleep normally?" One bad night becomes a prediction about the future. Return to the present. This is one night. I can care for tomorrow even if sleep is not perfect. I do not need to predict the whole week. This reduces the second layer of fear. Choose only 2 or 3 methods tonight. Do not create a complicated sleep performance. You may write the worry down, name the loop, and relax the body. That is enough. The goal is not perfect control. The goal is to stop giving every thought unlimited time. Chapter 7. Train your mind to rest over time. A quieter night begins before your head reaches the pillow. If the whole day is rushed, distracted, and emotionally full, the mind may use nighttime to process everything you avoided. This is why long-term change needs daytime habits. One useful habit is a daily thinking period. Choose 15 to 20 minutes in the evening, but not in bed. During that time, review your worries. Write what needs action. Notice what is outside your control. This gives concerns a regular place. When they return at night, you can say, "I already reviewed this. I will return during tomorrow's thinking time if needed." The brain may not trust the system immediately. Keep using it. Trust grows through repetition. Another useful habit is completing the day on paper. Write tomorrow's 3 main tasks. Not 15. Choose 3. This reduces the feeling that everything is unfinished. For example, finish the first page of the report. Call the bank. Walk for 20 minutes. The mind now knows what tomorrow begins with. A real-life example is a college student who used to study until the moment they entered bed. The student's mind stayed active because there was no clear ending. They began stopping study 30 minutes earlier. They wrote the next topic on a note, packed the books, and prepared clothes for morning. The work was not finished, but the day had an ending. After some time, falling asleep became easier. Boundaries with technology also matter. Your phone gives the brain new information every few seconds. A message, a video, a headline, a photo, an argument. The body may be still, but the mind is receiving constant stimulation. Try placing the phone farther from the bed. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Choose a final time for checking work or social media. You do not need a perfect digital life. You need enough distance for the mind to slow down. Physical movement during the day can also help the body use energy and reduce built-up tension. This may be walking, exercise, stretching, sport, or practical work. Choose something that suits your health and situation. The goal is not punishment. It is giving stress a physical path. Daylight and regular timing can support a more stable sleep routine as well. Try to wake at a similar time most days. Spend some time in natural light when possible. These simple signals help the body understand the difference between day and night. Food, caffeine, and late work may also affect how active you feel. Notice your own pattern. You may find that coffee late in the day makes thoughts faster at night. You may discover that heavy work just before bed keeps your mind solving problems. You do not need to change everything at once. Test one adjustment for a week. Then notice the result. Emotional expression matters too. If you never speak about stress, never write, and never pause, the mind may carry everything into sleep. Find a healthy way to process the day. Talk with someone you trust. Write a short journal entry. Pray or meditate. Sit quietly without a screen. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? What needs action? What needs acceptance? These questions prevent emotion from remaining unnamed. Another real-life example is a person who keeps replaying conflict with a partner. During the day, they act as if everything is fine. At night, the argument returns. The problem is not only overthinking. There is also an unfinished conversation. The long-term solution may include calm communication, a boundary, or support. Breathing alone cannot solve every real-life issue. Sometimes the thought keeps returning because your life needs a change. This is an important balance. Do not obey every thought. Do not ignore every thought either. Ask whether the thought is a loop or a message. A loop repeats without direction. A message points toward a useful action. If the message says, "This relationship is hurting me," give it daytime attention. If the loop says, "Replay the same sentence for the 50th time," you do not need to follow it. Training the mind also requires self-compassion. Harshness creates more noise. If you say, "Why can't I control my stupid brain?" the body feels more threatened. Try a calmer response. My mind is active because it is trying to protect me. I can guide it without attacking myself. This will take practice. Compassion does not mean giving up. It creates the safety needed for change. You should also lower the goal. Do not aim for a mind with no thoughts. Aim for less time inside each loop. Maybe you used to replay a conversation for 1 hour. Now you notice after 20 minutes. Later you notice after 5. That is progress. Maybe you still wake at night, but you no longer panic. That is progress too. A useful weekly review can help. Ask, which thoughts returned most often? What triggered them? Which method helped? Is there a real problem I need to handle during the day? This turns the experience into information. You become a student of your pattern instead of a victim of every night. There may be times when self-help methods are not enough. If sleep problems continue for a long time, affect daily life, or come with severe anxiety, panic, depression, or distress, speak with a qualified health professional. Support is not failure. It is another practical step. Your mind learned the overthinking habit through repetition. It can learn a different evening pattern through repetition too. The new pattern may be: review the day, write the next steps, lower stimulation, let the body soften, allow uncertainty to remain unfinished, return attention to the present. Do this gently. Do it often. The quiet may not arrive all at once, but over time, night can stop feeling like a courtroom where every memory is judged. It can become what it was meant to be, a place where the day ends. Your brain replays everything at night because it is searching for safety, answers, and control. It reviews the conversation. It checks the mistake. It prepares for tomorrow. The intention may be protection. The result can be exhaustion. You do not need to win a fight against your mind. You need to teach it a better rhythm. Name the loop. Separate facts from stories. Write down the next action. Let unfinished things wait until daylight. Bring attention back to your body. Protect the quiet before bed. Some thoughts need action tomorrow. Some need acceptance. Others need nothing more than permission to pass. Tonight, when the same memory returns, try not to ask, "How do I make this disappear?" Ask, "Is there anything useful I can do right now?" If the answer is no, let that be enough. The day has ended. Tomorrow will bring new information, new energy, and another chance to act. You are allowed to rest before everything is solved.